Motor, J Motor, J Motor, J Motor, recognize Heckler House, Heckler House. Oh, 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 oh.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Thomas back again with another rendition of Truth Be Told. Halloween's gone, done and gone. Great times, great times. Now we're getting into the dreary months of the cold winter. So this past week in the news, nothing new. You know, the propaganda from China and shit, making our, you know, our youth dumber and dumber with the TikTok crap, pushing propaganda, with the whole war thing going on over in the Middle East, which nobody cares about. We shouldn't be involved, but the rich leftist globalists, you know, the communists, they all make money from war. So they're pushing it big time, trying to get us to go into war. In fact, they want us to fight 3 different wars at the same time. China does. So China can try to take us over. China is the enemy. Not the people. Their government, the CCP. They are the enemy. And people need to wake up and start realizing that. Then, of course, you have the Trump indictments, which are going nowhere. And everybody knew they wouldn't, because it's all hogwash. It's just them trying to... it's election interference by the Democrats. Nothing's going to change until you get rid of all these leftist judges, because they break the law constantly. And they're not held accountable. It's ridiculous. But anyways, you know my thoughts about that crap. And then the last thing I saw was the whole... the media cherry picks shooters all the time. When there's a shooting going on, they cherry pick which ones they talk about and make a big fucking stink about. Like this new one, the shooter from Maine, or what? Actually, from what I understand, there was a couple of them. I think, I don't know. I didn't pay much attention because I get tired of seeing it. You know, the mainstream media, they do that all the time. They will cherry pick one particular shooter that shot a bunch of people, which there's dozens of them that happen all the time, but you only hear about one particular one, because of their skin color or whatever the fuck the deal is. Anything that goes with the leftist agenda, trying to get rid of, ban our guns. But yet you see what happens in these other countries. Like the UK is lost. Canada's lost. Australia is lost. Banning guns didn't help them at all. It made it worse. It made it tyrannical governments that are like coming up with the most ridiculous, insane crap to arrest people for. You can't tell someone off, because if you do, you're going to get arrested. Oh, it's hate speech. No such thing. There's never been such a thing. It's dumb. It's leftist, globalist BS. These governments want to try to control their people. I'm telling you right now, that shit's not going to happen here. There will be a war if they try to pull that shit here. It's just not going to happen. People are already pushing back on that leftist, globalist crap. It's failing. So, anyways, you know my thoughts about all that shit. Let's move on to what I really want to talk to you about this week. So, you know, here a week or two ago, I got done watching a paranormal show. Actually, I've been watching several new paranormal shows. And I'll give you my take on each one of them because there's several of them that popped up. The first one I watched a couple weeks ago or whatever was the whole John Carpenter's Suburban Screams. And because they tagged his name on there, was the whole reason why I checked it out, because I love John Carpenter's work, you know. But as I read up on it, I realized he really didn't have anything to do with this show. They just tagged his name on it. And the last episode, because they were claiming that he was coming back to direct, the last episode, which is the one he supposedly did, he didn't even film it. All he did was edit it and splice it together from his home. That's it. His wife is the one who went out and filmed it. Now, I think it's funny, at the beginning of each story, you get, this is a true story. Well, no, none of them's. Most of them are based off of BS. It's all horseshit. None of them are really true stories. The only one that they really did that was true was like the second episode, which about a real serial killer. Now they had stills and you know, pictures, that kind of stuff, video, you know, of the actual serial killer. So that is actually based on true shit. In fact, the main guy, the reporter and his editor, they're real too. The rest of them were all bullshit. Every single one of them. Now the show I'm kind of doing this per episode a little bit. The first one's called Kelly. And it was just funny because right off the bat, I almost didn't watch anymore from the get-go, because the very first episode, the guy says, "Oh, I made a Ouija board out of a pizza fucking box." I was like, really? Dude. It's already, Ouija boards has been debunked 100 times. There's plenty of videos. They're not real. They never have been. Anyone who claims that, you know, anytime I see any kind of paranormal bullshit where they go, "Oh, I brought out a Ouija board. Must have been a Ouija board that brung in this demon. They're portals." No, they're fucking not, dude. They don't work that way. Ouija boards are fake. The only time a Ouija board is an actual thing is if they have a spirit attachment. Could there be a spirit attachment to an object? Yes. Even a Ouija board. But it's very unlikely. They are not portals. They're not ways of communicating with the dead. It's bullshit. So, as soon as he mentioned that, I was like, yeah, this is going to be dumb. It was supposed to be this guy who moved in, and he was obsessed with a ghost who kept trying to communicate through him with a Ouija board, you know, trying to make him see, you know, where her dead body is so he could find her dead body. And he just happened to be dating her cousin, blah, blah, blah. And her cousin said, "F you, you're obsessed over my cousin's dead body, blah, blah, blah." Because she had never been found. She doesn't care if she is found. Like, she had no remorse. The way they made it seem like she didn't have any remorse for her cousin at all. Like, she cared fucking less that this is part of her family. You know, she disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to her. Who cares? It was dumb. It was a dumb story. The next one, is A Killer Comes Home. Now this is the one I told you that was actually based on a true serial killer. I forget what the dude's name is, but he's some Canadian serial killer, and they covered the story, and they were afraid. They got him locked up, but then he escaped and went on a killing spree, and the reporter and the editor was afraid that he was going to come after him. He killed a bunch of people in this town. It's back like in the 70s, I think. It was really good. I liked this one. This one was good. This story was good. The third one was about a haunted house, supposedly. There's no evidence to support the claims. Blah, blah. He kept trying to claim that, you know, he knew two families that just disappeared. You know, nobody wanted to talk about it, yada, yada, yada. I mean, it was just like the police never investigated what happened to them. They just up and disappeared. You know, it was pretty wanky. It was more like a love crush story than it was about a haunted house. It was kind of dumb. You know, like this kid's recalling, you know, this crush he had on this girl that lived next door. That's literally, and it just so happens her father's like, came off as like some kind of serial killer or some shit. But then they just up and disappeared too. It didn't make no sense. Whatever. He never knew what happened to him. Even the first family he knew about just up and disappeared. Didn't know what happened to him. It made no sense. Like, you can't tell me Sandy King, John Carpenter's wife, who went through all these films and stories, you can't tell me she didn't do no investigating to find out what the fuck happened to these families. Bullshit. Fake. Then you have some fucking local legend called the Bunny Man. And it was just, this historian was basically telling you, you know, oh, I wonder if it was the same guy from the 1800s. He's around now here. It was dumb. It's basically just based on a local legend of some guy, you know, urban, whatever you want to call it. Some guy who put on a bunny mask made out of bunny skin and went around killing people with an axe. And it was just recounts of supposed witnesses or stories that they had heard from other people. Nothing based in truth on that whatsoever. No facts, no evidence, just hearsay. Fake. Then you get to another haunted house episode. It's like called Cursed Neighborhood. And I knew this one, I automatically knew this one was fake from the get-go. Because this woman was all, you know, talking about her husband, you know, he was this good dude. And then all of a sudden, you know, this shit happened to him in the house from the supposed ghost or whatever. Because they heard that the land was cursed by, you know, early settlers and Native Americans, blah, blah, blah. The spirits were restless and wanting to kill people. And people around the neighborhood were dying off like flies. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it was just, as a bunch of hearsay. As this black woman and her daughter. And she's telling the story for the most part. And the younger daughter would just kind of confirm here and there. But she's trying to make up this shit like her husband had all these weird ass parasitical sores all over him from not even being at the house when he was away too, because they supposedly separated because he started drinking and became abusive. Well, the grandmother left. She claims it was because, you know, the curse or the ghost. you know. And then the oldest daughter left, and it was literally due to her. But she tried to put all the blame on her husband, who died mysteriously. And she blames it on the curse. But then you see her and her daughter at the very end of the episode. They're showing all these pictures and these videos of them living it up in the UK. Like they're all happy, blah, 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 in the UK. Dude, black liberal woman, dude. I knew it was sus from the beginning. Fake. She lied her ass off, even if it was, I'm just saying, it's gotta be just a story. But the simple fact she's a black liberal woman is a bunch of BS. I already knew. So the last story was called Phone Stalker. And this is the one John Carpenter supposedly came back to direct, which he didn't. He just edited it. It was Sandy King, his wife, who did it. And it was god awful. I just immediately knew why she picked it. The woman that she's supposedly interviewing was just super feminist. You could tell. So cringe while she's telling her story. The one that claimed that she was being stalked claimed that this guy was harassing her on the phone. I think she said she worked for a local newspaper or some shit like that. I can't remember. I don't know. She worked at some kind of office. And she had one guy friend who just, I don't know, he came off kind of sus to me. And the way she talked about her ex, like, he's a piece of crap garbage, blah, 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 you know. And, you know, at first she thought it was him, but then she realized it wasn't because of some timing. There was some timing going on with, like, pictures this stalker was sending her and stuff. And she was just going on, trashing her ex. And I was just like, yeah, she's totally feminist. Anyways, she treated men like garbage. And then she's like telling the camera, you know, this guy kept harassing her, making all these phone calls, and she waited months before she went to the police about him. I was like, come on, you're not going to wait months to do that. Because she said, oh, I thought I could handle it myself, blah, blah, but it just kept coming. I was like, bullshit. You're not going to wait months. So supposedly she gets a hold of this one cop. Just one cop. And all of a sudden, he thinks she's hot shit. And she's all like, yeah, the guys have always thought I was really, really hot. Blah, blah, blah. They hit on me all the time. Yada, yada, yada. No. Not this lady. Not the one that they were showing. I'm sorry. That chick was ugly. Anyway, she's all like, yeah, the cop started hitting on me. Like, what kind of cop does that? You know, he starts hitting on me instead of trying to find this guy. Blah, 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 blah. You know, just berating this cop who's supposedly supposed to be trying to help her. But yeah, she's more concerned that he's hitting on her. Asking her all these personal questions and blah, blah, blah. And then tells her, oh, this guy's probably a hacker. You know, he's using a remote server. You know, we can't trace him, blah, 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 even though we have the evidence from your phone, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Bullshit. They have the hardware, or whatever, software and hardware to track people down. There's no way. Because she's all like, yeah, this happened like 6 years ago and they still haven't found him, blah, blah, blah. And she said, it's still going on today. And I was like, you're full of shit. You're full of shit. End of story. Sandy King, Do some better fucking writing. I'm sorry. John Carpenter, I love you, dude, but your wife is a super feminist. You need to get away from her. Because, terrible. Terrible. Suburban Screams. 2 thumbs down. Do not watch it. It's absolutely a shit show. It's not John Carpenter. None of them's true except for the second one about the serial killer, which was the only good one out of the whole entire series. Anyway, let's get on to your B movie reviews. What's up, movieaholics? Let's talk about your B movie reviews. This week is Action Week. Now, it's been a while since, a good minute since I've done some war action films. So I figured this week we'd go over some war movies. Understand, I watch all these shows and movies, even if I've seen them once before or many times. I always try to rewatch them before I do a review on them for the channel, for you guys, because I want to refresh them in my memory. I don't sit there and go, oh, I'll choose this movie and then write out a dialogue like a lot of YouTubers do when they do reviews. I don't do that. I'm just thinking of shit that I just recently watched. That's why you hear me I don't purposely do that. It's just I'm trying to think of what I want to say from what I just seen. So the first one we're going to talk about is called We Were Soldiers. It was done in 2002. It made roughly about 115 million worldwide at the box office. Stars Mel Gibson, Madeline Stowe, and of course the infamous Sam Elliott. Basically, the movie is about the first chopper squad that entered Vietnam. The first time they deployed troops via helicopter. And it's about the first skirmish that they had with them when they entered the war, which honestly, I thought the Vietnam War was dumb as shit, because we could have easily have taken them. There wouldn't have been a drug out, prolonged war if they, I don't know what, I can't remember exactly what the deal was, but for whatever reason, our government would not allow our troops, our military, to go in there and take North Vietnam. They told them, You just have to secure the border, right there at the border. Keep North Vietnam from coming into South Vietnam. You know, keeping separated, which did no good because when we pulled out, you know, North Vietnam took South Vietnam anyway. So it was a pointless war. It really was. But anyways, that's what the movie is about. Now, of course, you got some drama in the movie. You always do when it comes to war movies. But there's actually a pretty good bit of action. And I like, you know, if it's a war movie, I want to see a lot of action more than I do the drama. You know, I expect a little bit of drama, but I prefer the action. In the movie, you know, you probably have about 30 minutes worth of them getting ready to go to war. Then when they do go to war, or they do go over there, you know, I think you have like another 10 or 15 minutes of cutscenes that go back to his wife and shows what she had to deal with letters coming in saying, you know, the husbands are dead in her community on the base. The wives that stayed behind and live on the base are married to the men. And she had to deal with, you know, giving them bad news. Because apparently they didn't have a system for delivering letters at the time. Anyways, you had about 15 minutes of that stuff going on. But most of it was them, you know, fighting or whatever, which I liked. I prefer that. It's a good movie. It's definitely interesting. Definitely 2 thumbs up. If you like war action movies, it's definitely a good one. Definitely check it out. The next one I want to talk to you about is called Windtalkers. It was done in 2002 as well. It made a little less. It made about $77 million worldwide. And it starred Nicolas Cage and Adam Beach. Nicolas Cage plays this soldier who was in World War II fighting the Japs or Japanese, and he gets injured. He has some help from a nurse so he can get back on the front lines and get back into fighting. The problem is he thinks he's going to go back as just a grunt, a soldier, you know, doing missions for basic fighting, but he's not. He's tasked with protecting a Navajo Indian, or Navajo Native American, sorry. Because we were using the Navajo Native American language as a code during World War II, so the Japanese could not break it. It never was broken. They couldn't figure out the Navajo language. So he was to protect the code, not the Native American, the code. So if a Native American, the Navajo guy he was protecting got caught, he was supposed to take him out before letting the enemy take it back and interrogate him to try to get the code off of him. There were 2 of them. They were buddies, the Navajo, they were friends. Nicolas Cage runs into Christian Slater, which is the other sergeant who is protecting the other Navajo. While they're over there, they get in quite a bit of skirmishes. They even have to deal with one guy who's kind of, you know, he's prejudiced against Native Americans. That's just the way he was grown up. He was taught that by his family, to hate Native Americans. So you see a lot of that racism in that point. You also, because they are at war with the Japanese, there was some racism there too against Japanese. It was war. You see a little bit of that too in the movie, which is, you know, just the way it is. That's how it works when you're at war. You tend to start hating the enemy. And racism builds up. That's just the way it works. But the story is they have to go over there. They got to protect the Navajo guys, you know, to protect the code, so the Japanese can't get a hold of it. So Nicolas Cage, he doesn't want to get close to his Navajo friend, or the guy he's protecting. He doesn't want to care, but he ends up caring eventually. So he doesn't want to perform his duty if he has to kill him. He does have to do it to Christian Slater's Navajo, because he got captured and they almost took him. Because Christian Slater died, so he has to kill him. And Adam Beach, which is his Navajo, gets pretty pissed off and goes Milly Willy, not caring whether he dies or not. Nicolas Cage has to chase him down. They're in a war zone where the Japanese are firing at an 8th, they call it the 8th Battalion, who is coming up a big road or whatever, and they were shelling him. They have to go in there and stop the Japanese from shelling him. They eventually do it, but then Nicolas Cage dies, and at the end you see Adam Beach at home with his family, you know, performing a ceremony, remembering Nicolas Cage as his friend, and for saving his life. And that he forgave him for killing his friend. He understood that he was following orders. He was doing what he was told, and he didn't like it. He understood and he forgave him. That's the end of the movie. It's a really good movie. I like this one too. Tons of action. Like, there's hardly any, you know, there's a little bit of drama, of course, but it's mainly just action. Them on this island fighting constantly. It's a really good movie. If you're in, again, another great war action movie. Check it out. 2 thumbs up. Windtalkers. Good movie. Give it a go. So, if you have any thoughts about what I talked about earlier in the video, please leave your thoughts down in the comment section down below. If you have any suggestions, movies I may never even heard of, B-rated movies, you know, you would like me to check out, please leave your suggestions down in the comment section down below. I'll get to reviewing them as soon as I can. So, until next time, I told you to be told the truth, and you just been told.